Yeah, I think our preseason training camp has gone fairly well. We're a very intimate team, very close to one another, so that's pretty nice. Our incoming freshman class, we have 8 incoming freshmen plus a transfer. A lot of them were either local or they came over the summer and played in a summer league together, so it was pretty nice to see them come into preseason very bonded. Training camp's hard. You know, we go twice a day or sometimes three times a day, depending on what we're working on, and they're an all-day affair. And so kind of being in the trenches together and working through adversity is part of the growing pains of every team. But they're adjusting pretty well. I think the biggest difference for those incoming kids is the speed of the game. So I think our returners are doing a very good job of trying to get them acclimated to how fast the college game actually is. Yeah, I think year one was a lot of learning, just figuring out our personnel, kind of how to gel with our staff, and just making sure that from a leadership standpoint, everything was consistent. Most people tend to not do well when there's inconsistencies, and so just that was the primary focus. I think this year it's more our staff is very close, and kind of we're very similar in how we want to train our players, and so I think the gap between us is very thin now, and so it's also beneficial for the kids because they can go in, talk to anyone on our staff. And so obviously Beth is back for her start of her 5th year, and Isaac has been a part of the program as a student coach and now as an assistant coach, and with the addition of Dylan, we have a pretty well-rounded staff. Yeah, I think what excites me is the maturity that's coming back. I think having Grace Bowles and Hannah as our setters, and obviously with Camry coming back for her final year, her senior year, and Sammy Hillier, I think are really big impact players. You know, they bring the maturity and the understanding of the WIAC and, you know, what an absolute fight our conference actually is. And then I think our incoming freshmen are just physically something our roster hasn't had in a long time. And so having to balance those two things out and really mesh where like the technical and the discipline side needs to be applied to the freshmen, but the physicality and the competitive side needs to be applied to the upperclassmen. So I think our roster is made up of a healthy balance of personalities and different types of competitiveness. And hopefully it's going to start translating more into on-court success consistently. Yeah, I think the expectations for this weekend for us is really getting into routines. So we're traveling down to Chicago, and it's going to be a 7.5, 8 hour bus ride. And, you know, our freshmen haven't been on a bus for that long, right, with high school and things like that. So getting them acclimated to kind of the routines of coming in, doing a serve and pass, getting on the bus, being on the bus, having to stop, you know, how are you supposed to use your time wisely, getting into different routines of what do you want to do when you're staying at a hotel, breakfast, lunches, and things like that. So just trying to get them acclimated with all the logistics involved with college travel. But then at the same time, we're obviously there to compete and we want to win. And so putting forth some of our best lineups and trying to figure out, you know, who's gelling in what positions and finding some normalcy, especially leading up into the second third of our season, which would probably be in a couple of weeks here. So we want to continue to find a little bit of normalcy, continue to give them opportunities so they're learning every moment they're on the court or when they're traveling, but then at the same time really just let them kind of find their own and build routines off of one another.